financial support of the Mount J Southern California Science and Technology Association and the Legacy Fountain Angel for providing the funds to rent this facility for us. Those of you who have been here before will know that this is a series of presentations, never repeated, that started in 2015. And this is like number 15 or 16 workshop in this series. And today, as Jeffrey just said, we are on session number 4, Tian Zhu Qigong, Sky Pillar Qigong or Heavenly Pillar Qigong. And I want to say that next month, the one will be on science-based Tai Chi Bang. Tai Chi Bang is a short wooden stick that we use to practice Tai Chi movements, and it adds to the efficiency of many of the bodily benefits. So if you're interested in coming to that one, make sure you come with something like this, like a short umbrella, or a rolling pin you use in the kitchen, or a piece of wood that is. So I have maybe 20 to loan out to you, but you know, it's best if you bring one just in case you are not one of the first 20 to be here. So since there are so many people who are here for the first time, and it's been a summer break, so I'm going to review some of the slides that I presented before, plus some new slides I haven't presented before. So first of all, for those of you who are not familiar with the history of Qigong, Qigong, one of the earliest artifacts on Qigong from 2,000 years ago from Ma Hongdui depicted 4 dozen figures doing this and this and this. And these people are not dancing because you can read the Chinese characters from back then. It says that if you do this, it will relieve pain. If you do this, it will relieve stress. If you do this, it will relieve your fever, in fact. And from these figures, there are many types of Qigong, including Sky Pillar Qigong I'm going to teach today, that are based on some of these figures. Other ones that you would know is Wu Qin Qi, 5 animals frolic, or Ba Guan Ji, 8 sections of brocade, or Yi Jin Jing, 10 changing Qigong, and so forth. On the other side, also included as Qigong is Tai Chi, which started out as Tai Chi Chuan, a type of self-defense fighting system, very effective. In fact, the CCTV championship for the past several years had been won by Tai Chi people, beating out Shaolin priests and so forth. So next month, what I will teach is doing Tai Chi, but with a short stick, some exercises that you can get benefits from that you cannot get from empty-handed Tai Chi. So again, what qualifies as Qigong or in Tai Chi for health? It's the 3 regulations, 三条合一, regulation of the body, the mind, and the breath. 调身, 调心, 调息. So I'm going to quickly go over some of the science, the research, clinical trials that show why each of these elements are critical for providing the benefits that you're going to get. So, 调心, regulation of the mind. Of course, this is just a review, okay? As you can see, we are videotaping these sessions, and if you want more details, you can go to the website of SCCCA, and there's many recordings, including a very detailed one that you missed several months ago, that I explained these slides in some detail. So, in this particular study, subjects who did Tai Chi and in this case, Qigong, 八段锦. What they showed was the people who practice these mind-body exercises show by brain imaging greater communication between the hippocampus part of the brain. This is part of the brain for long-term memory, kind of like the hard drive of your computer, and better communication between this and the prefrontal cortex out here. This is like the RAM of the computer for short-term memory and executive function and so forth. Better communications. What does that mean? Furthermore, in this study, they show that the people who have more and more connections on this line score better, higher and higher scores on memory tests and cognitive function tests. You can see this line. So in other words, more communications between the hard drive and the RAM, so to speak, they score better in tests that you can do in the laboratory. So practicing Qigong, Tai Chi could give you that sort of benefit in the brain. Next, regulation of breathing. In our laboratory, we put subjects under stress by making them watch horror movies or playing stressful video games. And we can see that heart rate would go up, and then when they do deep breathing, the heart rate would come back down somewhat, okay? And same for the blood pressure. So you can see that deep breathing can have almost instantaneous effect on calming you down if you're under stress. A recent paper shows the physiological basis of this. This is the brain. Within the brain is the brain stem, and within the brain stem is the breathing pacemaker part of the brain. When a person is under stress and the person breathes like that, that is controlled by this part of the breathing pacemaker. If the person is under stress and goes, oh my God, one love, okay? That's controlled by this part of the brain. But if the person goes into slow, deep breathing that we're going to do here, it's controlled by yet another part of the brain. And this part of the brain is directly connected by nerves to the part of the brain called locus coeruleus, which is the center for suppressing stress. So when you breathe slow and deep, you actually activate this part of the brain that could suppress the stress that your mind is feeling. So now we understand the pathways very clearly. Regulation of the body. We're going to do a lot of stretching today. Connective tissues. It is now known that when you stretch the body, you stretch the underlying connective tissue. Within the connective tissue are special cells called fibroblasts, and because they are stuck to the connective tissues or connected to the connective tissues, they also get stretched, and as a result, they send out messengers to activate the whole pathway that could relieve pain and inflammation. So when you stress, we now know that there's a whole chemical pathway from stretching the connective tissues to stretching these cells called the fibroblasts, which secretes a molecule called adenosine, and that would bind to these receptors and create pain relief and relief of inflammation. So stretching is obviously very important. And this is also shown in animal experiments where they take healthy mice, inject an irritant to the lower back, and when they stretch like that, the pain and the inflammation measurably reduced. Today, more relevant to today's sky pillar Qigong. Sky pillar is the term we use today to describe the spine. Okay, the 背的骨头 So, from the Western medical point of view. You can see here's the spine, okay, the bone structure coming down. And here are the nerves coming out on this side, right side, bisected out. And the nerves connect to different vital organs that you'll see in a minute. And the nerves are covered by all these muscles. If these muscles are really tight, they press on these nerves and they impede the signal going to the vital organs like the heart, the lung, the kidneys, and so forth. And it could cause dysfunction in those organs. From the Chinese medicine point of view, we have meridians, Qigong, coming down the back. Particularly important is the bladder, urinary bladder, meridian on the two sides of the spinal cord. And these are the acupuncture points. And these acupuncture points actually are the same as the ones that are used in Western medicine. On this particular day, just for fun, my student who's now a doctor of Oriental medicine and another student who's a doctor of osteopathy, they use pen to write on the right side, the Chinese acupuncture points on the kidney meridian. So this would be like, the points called connection to the lung, connection to the heart, connection to the stomach, connection to the kidneys, bladder, and so forth. And the Western doctor, who specializes in body techniques, she wrote down the points that she learned in medical school, and these points all correspond to the places where the nerves come out to feed the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, the stomach, the bladder, and so forth. So, also, some of the nerves feed the tissues that are involved in the immune system, 免疫系统. So, very important that these nerves send signals back and forth from the immune system, from the organs, and not get impeded by tight muscles. So if you loosen up the muscles, you can guarantee that these nerve signals would pass on from the brain down to the organs. So today we're going to do a lot of things that have to do with loosening up the sky pillar, okay? The spinal cord, the muscles surrounding the spinal cord, and allow free function of nerve signals going from the spinal cord to the different organs. We're going to do a lot of exercises that are very repetitive. Those of you who have been here will know that in the experiment shown at Princeton, that a cat with electrodes planted at the center of serotonin neurons, brain cells, that when the cat does like repetitive activities like brushing and grooming the hair, serotonin level goes up 40-fold. So when we do these things again and again, we could activate the brain and have more serotonin in the brain, which is, of course, important for giving you a good mood and not feel depressed and feel happy and sleep better. Finally, I have said this before, it's important to do exercises that will vibrate the bone structure, okay, like jumping and running. That vibration will make the bone structure stronger, and when the bone structure is stronger, they will send out this hormone called osteocalcin, which will go to the brain and create more brain cells in the hippocampus. And again, the hippocampus is the center for long-term memory and for suppression of stress. So when you vibrate the bone structure, you create more and more cells in this center to give you better memory and better ability to suppress stress. Today, unlike some of the other exercises you learn, we're not going to jump around, but we're going to do a lot of like vibration, from the hand to the body. Okay, 拍打功 is included, and that would have a similar, benefit in terms of making the bone structure stronger, particularly in the upper body, because when you jump, the benefit is on the leg bones and hip bones. But when you do this, you will shake up the bone structure of the upper body, and you would activate this pathway to give you better memory and better ability to suppress stress. And in our laboratory, we show also that when you do this sort of stuff, okay, using laser Doppler, we could see that you can increase blood flow from a baseline like this many fold, and the effect lasts like over an hour. So this sort of stuff immediately will give you the benefit of better circulation. We also show that different acupuncture points in the laboratory, when we push on these, 指压, we would increase blood flow at that point. And interestingly, if you miss the point, if you go to the side, on the left, to the right, to the upper or lower from the point, it doesn't happen. And we try 5 different points. And if you push on the right point, then the blood flow really goes up. If you push on the wrong point, that doesn't happen. And finally, when you push on some of these points, you would relieve stress, again, by testing people watching horror movies. The blood pressure would go up, but when you push on the point, it will come down. Heart rate will go up, it will come down. And the sympathetic, so-called fight and flight response will go up. You push on the right point, it will come down. So, better blood flow, stress relief, and also better bone structure, which will then result in better memory and better stress relief. So a very quick review of the things that I talked about in the past. And this session, we're going to spend the rest of the time on teaching you what to do, not so much as a lecture, okay? So if you want to see more of these slides, more of the explanation, go to the video, many videos at the sccca.org website. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Heavenly Pillar Qigong, or Sky Pillar Qigong, Tianzhu Qigong, or more formally called Tianzhu Dao Gong. What's the history of this? The Shanghai Qigong Research Institute, Shanghai Qigong 研究所, which is part of the Shanghai University of Traditional Chinese Medicine, Shanghai 中医药大学, they have compiled 10 different types of Qigong and published a set of books. Okay, this is the box, and there are like 10 books in here, and one of which is on this. And I'm honored to be a visiting professor at the Shanghai University of Traditional Chinese Medicine, and I served as an academic advisor, one of the advisors in the publication of this whole set. So today, I'm going to talk about this particular type of Qigong, just as several months ago, I talked about Qigong, and I also talked about other types of Qigong from this set. So very briefly, Heavenly Pillar, or Tianzhu, refers to the spine, a body structure with essential functions recognized by both Eastern and Western medicine. I just talked about that. And Tianzhu Qigong stems from the silk drawing unearthed from the Mao Dui, okay, from 2,000 years ago. It combined Dao Yan, which is using your intention to lead the body, Dao Yan techniques with Dan Tian concentration, mental concentration on the sea of Qi down here, Dan Tian, body movements with mental focus, and Qigong practice with health cultivation. Yang And as one of the classical Qigong exercises in the Shanghai Qigong Research Institute, the system was inherited by Master Gong Xiaozhen and further developed at the Institute. So without further ado, I'm going to teach you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 different sets of exercises today. And starting with this one. So with this, we're going to have the lights on so you can see. And Michael, so we don't want people from where to where, so we can block the camera. Let's look.
Let's see.
Here? They can stand here, not block.
I can see you. You will stay behind this second mic.
Oh, I'll be up here, but for them.
Yeah.
Okay, up to here. Okay, so please come up, but don't block the camera. Here.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, right, yeah.
Take all the space.
Yeah.
That's good. But all right, here's okay. Here's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good?
Good.
All right. So, there's still plenty of space here, okay? Plenty of space. Those of you who are way at the back will not be able to see. So, yeah. Lots of space. And then even here, okay?